The Rohingya people are a Muslim minority group who have resided for centuries in Rakhine State, Myanmar, formerly Burma. Despite their deep roots, they have long faced systemic discrimination and persecution at the hands of the Myanmar government. Denied citizenship under the 1982 citizenship law, they are effectively rendered stateless. The Rohingya have been subjected to restrictions on movement, marriage, and access to education and healthcare. Their plight has been described by the UN as a textbook example of ethnic cleansing. The international community has for decades documented human rights abuses against the Rohingya. These include forced labor, land confiscation, and arbitrary arrests. The Rohingya have been trapped in a cycle of poverty and vulnerability, with limited opportunities for advancement or a secure future. This long history of persecution laid the groundwork for the humanitarian catastrophe that unfolded in 2017. In August 2017, the Myanmar military launched a brutal crackdown on the Rohingya in response to attacks on security posts by a Rohingya insurgent group. The military's response was swift and merciless, characterized by widespread atrocities. Villages were razed, civilians were massacred, and countless women were subjected to sexual violence. The UN described the situation as a textbook example of ethnic cleansing. Fleeing for their lives, over 700,000 Rohingya crossed the border into neighboring Bangladesh. This mass exodus created one of the fastest-growing refugee crises in the world. The refugees, traumatized and destitute, arrived in Bangladesh with little more than the clothes on their backs. They sought refuge in makeshift camps, overwhelming existing humanitarian resources and capabilities. The world watched in horror as the scale of the crisis became apparent. The sprawling refugee camps in Cox's Bazar, Bangladesh, quickly became the epicenter of the Rohingya crisis. Kutupalong, the largest of these camps, is now the most densely populated refugee settlement on Earth. Overcrowding, inadequate sanitation, and limited access to clean water created a breeding ground for disease. The threat of outbreaks of cholera, diphtheria, and measles loomed large. Life in the camps is a daily struggle for survival. Families reside in flimsy bamboo and tarpaulin shelters that offer little protection from the elements. Opportunities for education and employment are scarce, trapping generations in a cycle of displacement and despair. The psychological toll of displacement, coupled with the trauma of past experiences, has left deep scars on the Rohingya community. Section 4. A pandemic upon a crisis. The COVID-19 pandemic in 2020 brought a new layer of hardship to the Rohingya refugees. The overcrowded and unsanitary conditions in the camps made social distancing virtually impossible. Access to healthcare, already limited, was further strained by the pandemic. The Rohingya, already among the world's most vulnerable people, faced heightened risks from the virus. International aid organizations worked tirelessly to provide essential services and support to the refugees during the pandemic. Lockdowns and movement restrictions, while necessary to curb the spread of the virus, further restricted access to education and livelihood opportunities. The pandemic underscored the precariousness of the Rohingya's situation, highlighting the urgent need for durable solutions. Section 5. Coup and further uncertainty. In February 2021, the Myanmar military seized power in a coup, overthrowing the democratically elected government. This plunged the country into turmoil and had a chilling effect on the Rohingya crisis. The coup effectively shut down any hopes for repatriation in the near future. The military junta, responsible for the 2017 atrocities, was now firmly in control. The coup also led to a surge in violence and displacement within Myanmar. The Rohingya, already facing a desperate situation, watched with growing anxiety as their homeland descended into chaos. The international community condemned the coup and imposed sanctions on the military regime. However, these measures had little impact on the ground, leaving the Rohingya feeling abandoned and forgotten. Section 6. The long road ahead. As of 2024, the Rohingya crisis remains unresolved. Over 1 million refugees remain stranded in Bangladesh, their dreams of returning home seemingly distant. Repatriation, while touted as the preferred solution, remains a complex and elusive goal. The Rohingya are unwilling to return to Myanmar without guarantees of safety, citizenship, and justice. The international community faces a moral imperative to find a just and durable solution to the Rohingya crisis. Accountability for the crimes committed against the Rohingya is essential. pressure must be maintained on the Myanmar government to create conditions conducive for safe, voluntary, and dignified repatriation. Until then, the Rohingya will remain trapped in a state of limbo, their future hanging in the balance.